Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And Republicans in the legislature have been driving the policy narrative on restoring public safety to the state of California. Last year, you saw we stopped the shenanigans that were trying to undermine Prop 36. We got a clean ballot measure on the ballot, and the voters passed it with almost 70% of the vote. Every county in the state of California passed Prop 36. And now we want to make sure that it's fully implemented. So that is one of the big things that we are going to be driving. We also had really good news this morning. We'd been calling out this terrible bill, AB 1333, that would stop victims from defending themselves against crime in this state, was pulled today by the author because of the pressure that we called out and because of the public calling out, district attorneys calling out. We've stopped yet another bad public safety measure from moving forward. Republicans are going to continue to fight for that thing. We also want to talk about the things we want to continue to do to keep our communities safe, because we need to change the policy direction. The policy direction was going the wrong way. Now it's going the right way here in California, and we want to continue that trajectory. So this morning I'd like to first bring up a district attorney who did a tremendous job promoting Prop 36, talking about it throughout the state, and who's continuing to that fight in the implementation of Prop 36, District Attorney Jeff Reisig.
Well, good morning. I'm here today as one of California's longest-serving district attorneys, and I'm also here to talk for my colleagues, the 58 total DAs across the state. And I'm here today to actually talk about treatment and the need to fully fund Proposition 36. As the Assembly member just stated, Prop 36 passed by a supermajority. Every single county, bipartisan support among the voters. It was an absolute mandate for a different approach. And the reason the voters came out so strongly is they were rejecting the failed policies of the last 10 years before that due to Prop 47, which caused a massive increase in homelessness, 51% increase in homelessness since 47 was passed, Prop 47 in 2014, and a huge increase in addiction and overdoses. So Prop 36 gave a promise to the electorate. The promise was a new approach to tackle both rampant retail theft and drug-fueled addiction and homelessness, and to go after fentanyl dealers. And that's what we need to deliver. On a personal note, I want to tell you, I have a nephew who's been on the streets of Sacramento for 10 years. He's addicted to heroin. He steals every day to support his habit. And my hope for him, I love him, and my family's hope for him is that he will get treatment. And so the call to action from the district attorneys to the governor and to the legislature is fully fund this mandate, Proposition 36. We need robust drug courts. We need robust law enforcement. We need all of it. And it was disappointing to see that the governor didn't have $1 in his proposed budget. That was very disappointing for us given the people's mandate. But we are very encouraged, and the reason we're here today is we do know that the Republicans and some Democrats are aligned on fully funding Prop 36. And so we're here to strongly support that effort, and I want to thank the Republican caucus for having us here this morning. So thank you. And next up is back to Assemblymember James Gallagher.
Thank you, Jeff. And yeah, that is kind of amazing that the governor didn't have any money to implement Prop 36, but now he's asking for a $3.4 billion loan to shore up the Medi-Cal program that he's destroyed here in California. We said it then, it was not stable to add illegal immigrants to our healthcare system. Now that's ballooned out of control, and he's asking for $3.4 billion in loan from the legislature, but he can't fund Prop 36 to make sure that our communities stay safe. Again, this governor's, well, he's podcasting a lot, but his priorities are completely out of whack. So next up, I'd like to invite up someone who is very well known in law enforcement in this state and helping to keep our community safe, who's been a strong advocate on all of these issues, Sheriff Chad Bianco.
Good morning, California. I'm Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Thank you to Assemblymember Leader James Gallagher and the Assembly Republicans for organizing this press conference today so we can discuss public safety in California. 5 months ago, Californians sent a strong message to Governor Gavin Newsom and to the legislators in Sacramento that the people of California have had enough of their soft-on-crime policies and pro-criminal experiment. We've had enough of backwards policies and agenda that somehow has made criminals the victim and law enforcement and law-abiding Californians the bad guys. We passed Prop 36 with nearly 3/4 of the vote of this state and support from every county, including Los Angeles and San Francisco. Californians spoke very loudly. However, some diehard progressives refused to hear this message. People like Assemblyman Rick Zbur from Santa Monica, who introduced one of the most ridiculous bills that I have ever seen in my 32 years of law enforcement and as your sheriff. Despite his disingenuous claims, the bill would have required you to run away from criminals, not defend yourself, not protect your spouse or your family, not protect your kids, not protect your neighbor. You would have just had to run away. Run away, emboldening criminals to victimize more of us. Like many of the bills we have seen from this supermajority over the past decade, criminals are being protected and emboldened at our expense. Thankfully, Californians spoke up and said enough is enough. Thank you to all of these people here who shined a light on this terrible proposal, and especially thank you to Californians, the millions of Californians who are fed up with what's happening in Sacramento, and they made their voices heard. Assemblyman Zbur killed his bill on his own late last night, highlighting the fact that this was horrible public safety policy. That is something that you rarely see from this Democrat supermajority. While I'm shocked to see somebody like him give in to public pressure, it shows that when we all work together to highlight truly terrible policy and legislation behind these walls, we can make a difference. Californians want to be safe. They want criminals to be held accountable, and they want people in this building to fully implement and fund Prop 36. It is time for the pro-criminal ideologues currently running our government to start to show some empathy and compassion for actual crime victims and law-abiding residents of California. We are demanding they start implementing sound public safety policy. Thank you again to every Californian who spoke up against this ridiculous bill. I will continue to highlight the craziness going on behind these walls, and with your vocal support, we will bring back common sense to our state government. I believe that Californians deserve better. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sheriff. And next we have with us another friend of public safety, Topo Padilla.
Today I'm here on behalf of Crime Victims United, where I'm the president of an organization that fights for victims of crime. When we have a rally out here, we can't get that many people because it's hard to ask victims, hey, can you come out here on the steps of the Capitol and bang your head again and again and try and have people understand what it's like to be a victim. You don't have to be a victim to understand what it's like to stand up for victims. And specifically what I want to talk about is what is going on in this building with regard to changing the rules. And I'm going to use a word that's not very proper, but the changing the rules of the game. You see, when somebody's a victim of a crime and they're murdered, raped, or something more heinous than those, I don't know what could be. And if somebody receives a sentence of, say, life without the possibility of parole, or the death penalty, and they take a deal for LWOP, life without the possibility of parole, and the families, are they ever at peace? No. But they know that they'll never have to go to a parole hearing again. And what this legislature did last year with SB 94 and this year with SB 672 is they want to change the rules of the game. And they want to take it from where if you committed a crime at 18 and younger, that you have the chance of going out early. Now they want to move it to 25. As though a 25 or 24-year-old or 23-year-old gang member that has gone out there, or anybody who's gone out there and committed murder, rape, or anything like that, is going to get the rules changed. These families have accepted the sentence that a judge and or a jury has come down with. They've accepted it. And now they've got to come back and do a parole hearing. Or they've got to now know that this person might get out. Are you kidding me? Do you want to do this about age, about 25? I don't know what's so particular about 25. But the fact of the matter is, I can't believe one legislator in this building wants to change those and do that to the victims. But then again, I can. I can, because they do it year after year, and it is gross, and it's a horrible thing for California. Now, if they want to change the rules going forward, that's one thing. And we all know the rules of the game. But they want to retroactively go back and let these people have another shot at a hearing. Harriet Salerno, the founder of Crime Victims United, year after year is on pins and needles waiting for this, the Board of Prisons to resentence the person who murdered her daughter, and let him back out. I recently did an in-bank hearing where I appeared in front of that Board of Prisons, and myself and the family gave riveting testimony on why this person should not be released. And it wasn't soon thereafter that I walked out of that hearing and I heard he was being released. I wonder if they really, really listen. Do you have to get your hand smashed in a door to know that it hurts to stand up for and have empathy for victims? And I wish more people in this legislature, and I'm not talking about these fine men and women behind me, because they get it, and some that are not here get it. So I just ask you all to please know what's going on at the Capitol, know what these people are fighting for, and stand up for them, and stand up for victims. Thank you.
Alarm going off there. Thank you, Topo. And, as you know, last year we stood together and killed SB 94 with this caucus leading the charge. We can do it again, and we plan to do on this terrible legislation. So next up, I want to invite up my colleague, Assemblymember Josh Hoover.
Thank you, Leader Gallagher. For too long, this legislature has prioritized and protected criminals over victims. And this is no more true when you look at how we handle human trafficking in California. Currently, human trafficking continues to not be considered a violent crime in California. We also had an actual debate in this building last year over whether or not 16 and 17-year-olds should be included in legislation that holds people accountable for purchasing sex from a minor. There are so many examples in this state where we continue to fail victims. And another way that victims continue to be victimized is in our family court system. So I have introduced AB 1375 to change this, and today it is my honor to introduce Bella, who is a victim, not just a victim of human trafficking, but someone who is here to share her story and talk about how we can actually bring a positive change to California. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bella, and I'm a survivor of human trafficking that began when I was a minor. I'm here because for too long, the laws in California have failed to protect trafficking survivors in family court. As a survivor, I know how traffickers can use the court system to maintain control over their victims, even after escape. I was trafficked as a minor and into my adulthood by a man that impregnated me twice. For over 7 years, I have faced my trafficker in family court nearly every 6 months, where he files motions to try to increase his custody and forces me to relive the trauma that I've worked hard to heal from. In 2024, a judge even ordered me to pay a portion of my trafficker's legal fees. He used his lack of documented income to his advantage to undermine the court system. I work hard to support and protect my children. This has not only caused a financial burden, but also put our safety at risk. This bill seeks to stop traffickers from having custody of their victims' children and from exploiting the court system to continue exploiting their victims, but there is still so much more change I hope to see in the future. We need to prevent traffickers from filing repeated motions that drain victims' resources. We need to ensure traffickers are not able to request financial support from their victims. We need to create laws that allow survivors to terminate the parental rights of traffickers based on moral depravity. No one who has endured trafficking should continue facing this kind of abuse. It's time for the laws to protect survivors and their children, not just when they escape, but throughout their recovery. This bill will give survivors the chance to rebuild their lives and break free from their traffickers once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella, for sharing your story and being with us this morning. Now I would like to invite up a supervisor that is here with us this morning, Anthony DiMattei.
Good morning, everybody. I am Anthony DiMattei. I'm a supervisor in Placer County. I represent the city of Rockland, the town of Loomis, and portions of unincorporated Placer County. Last year, thanks to the leadership in this room, we made great strides in California for public safety. We won tough fights to address fentanyl crises, stop Sacramento leadership from kicking Prop 36 off the table. With nearly 70% of the vote in California, adopted Alexander's Law, also known as Prop 36, giving prosecutors the ability to file murder charges if repeat fentanyl dealers kill somebody that they poison. Morgan Geyer, our district attorney in Placer County, has been a leader in using Alexander's Law to target fentanyl traffickers, helping to turn a tide against the overdose epidemic. Prop 36 included other important drug policy reforms, such as requiring hard drug users with multiple convictions to accept treatment or face prison. Despite those successes, there is a lot of work still to do. The youth of Placer County has been decimated by California fentanyl. If I seem emotional, I'm pissed. In my district alone, I personally know families who have lost their children. If it was my child, I don't even know what I would do. That is why I'm here and proud to support Assemblyman Jack Lacey, I can't even talk, thank you, bill to make selling fentanyl a minor serious felony. This bill will bring the crime of selling fentanyl to children under the 3 Strikes Law, sending a strong message: poisoning our people young will no longer be tolerated. We need to do everything possible to fight this epidemic, and giving traffickers a strike for poisoning children is a big step to fight this direction. Together, we can protect communities, make California safer for law-abiding citizens. That starts by holding drug dealers accountable for children they poison. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. And next up, we have one of our new members who's joined us but is already making strides on public safety, Assembly Member Alexandra Macedo.
Hello. Speeding kills. 1,509 people were killed last year as a result of speeding, according to the latest data. That's 35% of all car fatalities. It is nearly a 17% increase from the previous year. Too many innocent lives are at stake. That's why I introduced Assembly Bill 983. It will allow law enforcement to impound vehicles caught speeding at 100 miles per hour or more. This legislation will discourage people from recklessly speeding and will make our highways and roads safer. Just this past year, 4 young women at Pepperdine University lost their lives due to an excessive speeder going 104 miles per hour on PCH Highway. By installing stricter consequences, AB 983 will reduce dangerous driving and save lives on California's highways and roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And next up, we have our Vice Chair, or former Vice Chair of Public Safety, but longtime advocate, career law enforcement with the CHP, Assembly Member Tom Lackey.
Well, you have a lot to digest here in this public safety gathering, so I'll be very, very direct and very quick. You know, one of the values that our justice system holds true is equal protection under the law. And we have a situation in law right now that is everything but that. Because we have a part of our population in the developmentally disabled that have difficulties in their lives that we all need to be supportive of. One of those difficulties is their ability to communicate. And now, because of that disability, they are targeted by those who are evil-minded and choose to exploit that difficulty by raping them. Because of that, the consequences of rape have been diminished. If you're between 14 and 17 years old, it's not considered a violent felony. As a matter of fact, it could be considered what is called a wobbler, which means you only have accountability at the misdemeanor level, which means less than a year of imprisonment. That is an affront against justice, everybody. Force is an element of rape. And I would suggest to you that if you target a young person with a developmental disability, that's a level of force that is different, because they're not able to articulate that force. Why in the world would we protect the person who is inflicting such a demonic act against these people? Let's correct what is wrong. Let's not let that our system now has displaced sympathy because it's towards the offender. Let's put it where it belongs. And let's understand victims can have difficulty articulating events. So let's remember that if you are raping any person that has a developmental disability and has difficulty indicating force, you have inflicted substantial force against that person. That's what this Assembly Bill 38 addresses, and I look forward to the debate. Thank you.
How anybody could be opposed to that, I don't know, but we will see in Public Safety Committee. Next up, I want to invite up my other colleague, Assembly Member Lori Davies.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Assemblymember Lori Davies, and I represent the 74th Assembly District. When we talk public safety and keeping our community safe, one of the most paramount things to consider is victims' rights and standing with survivors of horrendous crimes. This year, I've introduced AB 229, which is a victim first protection bill for people who have been a victim of sexual assault. Under this measure, a victim may request a court to test a defendant who has been charged with an assault and determine if they are carrying any sexual transmitted diseases. Believe it or not, this is not law yet. The fear of having contracted STD can be an added emotional burden for survivors. Testing and early treatment can provide reassurance and help reduce anxiety, allowing survivors to focus on healing rather than worrying about potential infections. I'm pleased to say this bill has already passed through Public Safety Committee, and it's working its way through the legislation process. We'll keep you updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And then last but certainly not least, one of our newest members, Assembly Member Jeff Gonzalez.
Good morning, I'm Assemblyman Jeff Gonzalez, representing Assembly District 36, which stretches from Indio to the border town of Calexico and the mountains of Anza and Needles. I'm here today to speak about AB 634, legislation that would add tianeptine, also known as gas station heroin, to the list of Schedule I controlled substances. This is a critical step in safeguarding public health and ensuring the safety of our communities. Tianeptine is a synthetic drug that, despite being marked as a dietary supplement, has harmful effects on the brain similar to those of heroin. It's sold in convenience stores and gas stations, often without any clear warning to consumers about its potential dangers. So imagine a young kid going to get some candy at a gas station and also getting this at the same time. This needs to end. Though it was originally developed as an antidepressant, it is not approved by the FDA and is widely misused for its opiate-like effects. This legal loophole has allowed it to proliferate in many states, putting countless individuals at risk. The health consequences of using tianeptine are severe. From 2000 to 2013, poison control centers rarely reported tianeptine-related calls. However, more recently, we've seen dramatic increases in these calls. In 2023 alone, there were 20 reported tianeptine exposures in New Jersey, with 17 of those individuals requiring intensive care. The drug causes symptoms like high blood pressure, slow breathing, and in some cases, death. It's clear that tianeptine is not just a harmless substance, but a dangerous drug that has the potential to destroy lives. By classifying tianeptine as a Schedule I drug, we are taking a proactive approach to protect public safety. Schedule I drugs are the most tightly regulated and carry the harshest penalties, and rightfully so. This bill would ensure that tianeptine is subject to stricter regulations, preventing it from being easily accessed in places like gas stations and convenience stores, and alerting the public to the serious dangers associated with its use. This is not just about limiting access to harmful substance, it's about ensuring the safety and well-being of every Californian. In California, we often act once an issue becomes a crisis. That is why we must act now to prevent further harm and save the lives of our loved ones. I'll now deliver my remarks in Spanish. Buenos días, soy el asambleísta Jeff González, representando el distrito de la Asamblea 36, que se extiende desde Indio hasta la ciudad fronteriza de Calexico y hasta las montañas de Anza hasta Needles. Estoy aquí para hablar sobre el AB 634. Es una legislación que añadiría la tianeptina, también conocida como heroína de gasolinera, a la lista de sustancias controladas de la clase 1. Este es un paso crítico para salvaguardar la salud pública y garantizar la seguridad de nuestras comunidades. La tianeptina es una droga sintética que, a pesar de comercializada como un suplemento dietético, tiene efectos dañinos y en el cerebro similares a la heroína. Se vende en tiendas de conveniencia y estaciones de servicio, a menudo sin ninguna advertencia clara para los consumidores sobre sus peligros potenciales. Aunque fue desarrollada originalmente como un antidepresivo, no está aprobada por la FDA y es ampliamente mal utilizada por sus efectos similares a los de los opioides. Este vacío legal ha permitido que se prolifere en muchos estados, poniendo a innumerables personas en riesgo. Las consecuencias para la salud de uso de tianeptina son graves. Desde el 2000 hasta 2013, los Centros de Control de Envenenamientos rara vez reportaron llamadas relacionadas con tianeptina. Sin embargo, más recientemente hemos visto un aumento dramático en esas llamadas. Solo en 2023 se reportaron 20 exposiciones a la tianeptina en Nueva Jersey, con 17 de las personas requiriendo cuidados intensivos. La droga causa síntomas como presión arterial alta, respiración lenta y, en algunos casos, la muerte. Está claro que la tianeptina no es solo sustancia inofensiva, sino una droga peligrosa que tiene el potencial de destruir vidas. Al clasificar la tianeptina como una droga de clase 1, estamos tomando un enfoque proactivo para proteger la seguridad pública. Las drogas de clase 1 son las más reguladas y conllevan las penas más severas y con razón. Este proyecto de ley aseguraría que la tianeptina esté sujeta a regulaciones más estrictas, impidiendo que se acceda fácilmente y lugares como estaciones de servicio y tiendas de conveniencia, y alertando al público sobre los graves peligrosos asociados con su uso. Esto no trata solo de limitar el acceso a una sustancia perjudicial, sino garantizar la seguridad y bienestar de cada californiano. En California, a menudo actuamos una vez que un problema se convierte en una crisis. Es por eso que debemos actuar ahora. Nosotros estamos aquí para actuar. Necesitamos actuar para prevenir más daños y salvar las vidas de nuestros seres queridos. Hoy es el día, ahora es el tiempo, ahora es el momento y nosotros tenemos que actuar. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And so this morning, as you've heard, we have a very broad public safety package that we're introducing. We want to make sure that Prop 36 is implemented, that we have that drug treatment available, but that we're holding people accountable, finally, that crime is finally illegal again in California because of Prop 36, but also continuing to make sure that we are protecting victims and that we are providing for the public safety. And so Republicans are going to continue to fight on all of those fronts this year. We appreciate you coming for this morning, and we would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Yeah, go ahead.
It was lightly touched on, but can you talk about which parts of Prop 36 you're most interested in funding, and if any counties in California have the capacity right now to implement?
Basically, accountability and treatment, right? I mean, we need to make sure that, look, when people commit crimes, they should go away, right? And so we need beds. There does need to be space for people to pay for the crime that they've committed against people. And remember the victims. Many of these people, small business owners who have been consistently stolen from. We've had this chronic theft problem in California. So there needs to be accountability, but also we, as District Attorney Reisig just said, we want to make sure that we get treatment for those. This is the underlying problem with many people who are committing crime. They have a drug problem. So now we have the ability, that's that sort of carrot and stick, to say, look, go into treatment and get care. And so we need to fund that. And, I think that should be very much a priority. I think the voters have told us that should be a priority, and so that's what we're proposing to fund.
And then the part about which counties in California have the capacity.
Well, I think what counties are telling us is they need funding, right? And so really that's what it boils down to, is if we in the budget make that a priority, they'll have the funding and they can implement Prop 36. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, and we will have individuals available if you want to speak one-on-one with people. Thank you.